we'll get this started. Alrighty, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is John McDaniel. I am, amongst other things, the Director of Winery Development and Marketing for VinConnect. So we are a direct-to-consumer platform, basically creating a similar experience for wineries in Europe to be able to sell directly to American consumers through our licensing. So if you've ever belonged to a wine club or an allocation for US wineries, a very similar kind of a philosophy, just with great wineries from Tuscany and Burgundy, and also Penedès. So we welcome Pepe. We've done a few offers with you in the past and really excited. So currently we have the 15 textures out, which is amazing. And so I've actually pulled, and again, I told Pepe earlier, I have the 2011. I have no idea where I got this bottle. Somewhere in the world of cream here in Chicago, which is where I'm based. And Pepe, why don't you tell everybody where in the world you are at right now?
Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting me. My name is Pepe Raventós. I am talking to you from the Pyrenees mountain range. It's the mountain range that separates Catalonia and France. And I am spending 6 beautiful days with the children, doing a little bit of our biggest passion, that is alpinism. So we're walking the mountains up and down. But now it's 9 p.m. here. So I am enjoying a glass of De La Finca in 2016 vintage, a vintage that is beautiful. We can talk later, in a restaurant of a friend, where as soon as we finish the conversation, we're going to have a wonderful mountain dinner. And the village is called Das, D-A-S, D-A-S, and the restaurant is called 1219. 1219, because it's when that house where I am talking to you now was built. So it's a beautiful restaurant. They do a fantastic job. They have good wine list, as you see behind me, and the chef is a wonderful friend. So hello to everybody from Das in the middle of the Pyrenees.
Excellent, wonderful. Well, Pepe, thank you again for your time and for delaying dinner, or maybe even not. It may be an early. I know that.
Perfect. It's a perfect timing for aperitivo. 9 p.m. here in Catalonia.
Excellent. It's perfect at 2 o'clock. I'm already ready for one too. So, you know, looking at the history, and I've enjoyed pouring your wines in restaurants in California and in Illinois for a long time. And I know we see Jess on here too, who I know has poured your wines as well at Pops for Champagne, which I know is anytime you come to Chicago, a favorite of yours as well, Pepe. So, you know, if you could kind of give people the lay of the land of how, you know, Raventós y Blanc has come to this point. You know, you've developed certainly a great reputation of being a sparkling wine producer in Spain, and we'll get into why that versus Cava here in a little bit. But do you want to give a little background as to you know, the history of your family in you know, in the area, and how the winery became to where it is today?
Well, it's very simple. It's very simple. So I was crazy to go to live in America in 2010, because I did a master's degree in Arizona and I fell in love with the American culture that some people think it doesn't exist. But I really fell in love with it, and the people and the level of respect. Well, I could talk about this for many times, make very good friends. Such as Greg Brewer, that is tonight with us here, Greg, and it makes me very, very happy. And so I lived in this during this time, and because Susana, my wife, and I happen to be the 21st generation of such boring family that has been doing the same for 500 years. This was something that gave a lot of enthusiasm to the people that I was meeting in the wine world. That is not as big; it's smaller than we think. And then in America, I learned that you need, how do you say, you need to think big. Do not hate the player, but change the game. I actually learned this with Andy Page in Chicago. And then I said, Cava is, although it's in the heart of my company, of my family, my company, and everybody, it's not what we're doing anymore. So we decided to change the game. We declassified from Cava. I have to share with you that we have documents at home that we were making wine since the 1400s, that my great-great-great-grandfather, how many greats, in 1870 made the first Spanish sparkling wine with Méthode Champenoise in the same state that we are living and farming today. And long story short, in 2012, while living in New York City, we make the bold move to declassify, and we are working to create a new appellation called Conca d'Anoia, Valley of the River Anoia in Catalan, inspired in Pouligny-Montrachet, in the small crus of Burgundy, inspired in the Barolo, more recent appellation, inspired by all the friends that make wines in the world, in the Jura, in the Loire Valley, in Priorat, and everywhere. No, but this is what we were working towards in Conca d'Anoia for the last 4 years now.
And so really where of looking at your producer and then the family of producers around you, kind of how many different producers are a part of that, appellation and growth and registration at this time?
So basically, it's not about a club of producers, because this is something that happened a little bit after we declassified. The people got a little nervous, and it's like, oh, Pepe the black sheep, and he's the rebel, and we're going to do something different. A little, typical politics in the area, and they create several associations. For me, it's not about association or branding or marketing. It's really about terroir definition. So we're working with Generalitat de Catalunya and University of Geology to define this map that is already closed. It's like, if you will, Barolo. And what is important is that the vineyards that are in this map are registered Conca d'Anoia. So if you have a winery in a village that has vineyards in this area that is about 3,000 hectares, so that's like 10,000 acres, right? If you have vineyards in that, and you commit to Conca, that means that all your sparkling wines will be made under the Conca requisites, which are the most strict requisites that you can find in the world at the moment, even more than the grower champagne, where we got a lot of inspiration from. Then you could put Conca. No? So it's like Merceau, for example. If you are in a village that has vineyards in the Merceau cru, you can make Merceau wine. What's important is the origin, is not the method.
Interesting. And I know, Pepe, if you could talk a little bit about, I know that you have such passion for viticulture of, everything manual harvest, working in the vineyards with horsepower, kind of very traditional method. If you can kind of talk about how, that philosophy for yourself has grown of no mechanization really whatsoever in the vineyards.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be an exaggeration, no? Because nowadays we have some parts that are mechanized, and we use tractor for some works. But to put it simple, I was watching a picture of Joan Miró that's called The Farm in an exhibit in London about 15 years ago. And then I realized that it has been an exhibit that put Joan Miró into the world map. It was a very important exhibit for that amazing painter. And I was reading how, how they describe the paintings in the museums. And I really love when they do the exhibits, how people describe the life of the painter or what inspired the painter or everything. No? So by reading the inspiration of Joan that made him paint like this, it was like he had become extremely international by going extremely local. And that picture of the farm, if you can look at it on the internet, it's his ancient farm from the Catalan Mediterranean coast, where the house that reminds me a lot of our family farmhouse, with the olive trees, the vineyards, the donkey, the sheep and the goats, the vegetable garden, the chickens running around. And I'm like, wow, like this is where I belong, like this is really what I love and where I belong. And I kind of like connected with all my past in the mountains, with the animals. I said, like, this is the way. So that moment, John, I abandoned the idea of perfect wine, and it's become like a search towards place, towards nature, and towards purity, if you want, towards authenticity and honesty. You see, in the wine world, we tell so many lies in order to sell our bottles of wine, or exaggerations, that it's become a mess. The consumer is totally messed up. So I realized we have to be more transparent, we have to be more clear, more clean, more pure, and really go back to the place, because perfect wine doesn't exist, does it?
Right.
So my responsibility since that moment is to bring to you something that really reflects that origin. In this sense, the future is the past. And all our work is to recuperate that ancient farm where animal, man, and plant live together in a closed ecosystem, sustainable ecosystem with least possible interference from outside. You have to see that the plant, in the more diverse system that she develops, the more energy it has, the more resistance it has, the more structure and life soil she grows, the less chemicals we need to apply, and the more pure to the place will be that grape that will become wine, because at the end of the day, it's all about grapes. No? Right. So this philosophy gave me a lot of peace of mind in the sense that I really don't need to keep searching and consultants that come and tell me what to do and this or that. And no. I just need to step back and really, let the nature flow and let the nature speak. And we underground 3 kilometers of electric. Nothing is so romantic. We have to put a lot of. We underground 3 kilometers of electric lines. We fence a lot of property because farming is about water control and fencing. So where the sheep go, they are grazing freely in the winter time. Then during the growing season, they are in the forest, but they are cleaning the forests. We recuperate the pig, and we do the pig matanza and make our own sausage for we are learning to make honey with our honeybees that pollinize. We designed with specialist people from ornithology these cases of nests, so the birds that were living in the property come back, after the era of confusion of the 60s and the 70s that we abused of chemicals. No, mm-hmm. We have the chickens, and then my dog eats the chickens when I'm looking to the other side. I mean, it is work, but it's peaceful, and it gives us, some peace of mind, some clarity, some like we're doing something that's interesting. And thank you for being today, because it means that it's interesting for you as well.
No, absolutely. And obviously every vintage is a new experience, and you're learning new things. What have been some surprises that you've seen from the response of the vines and of your land from really focusing on this kind of process and philosophy that you've been going through?
What is fantastic is that you really understand how small you are, and that nature humbles you immensely. Once you start after our time in America, we moved back to the state, and we're living in the middle of the state. And for example, we are organic certified and biodynamic certified. You know what I say now, John? I say biodynamics is part of the past. It's not. It doesn't work for me anymore. There's too much bullshit. Mr. Steiner didn't drink pardon my French, didn't drink wine. And he was in an area that was not for wine cultivation, was horticulture. And then because of, as I was telling you in the beginning, in order to sell our wine, I am the first biodynamic. The message is fantastic. I learned a lot of things because it took me to spend more time in the farm. The idea of compost is very important, structural essence to create your own compost. But there is a lot of very strange things. There are a lot of very strange things. Thank you very much. Like, for example, that I have to bring cows, in an area where cow doesn't naturally belong. I am from an area that historically it's sheep, and pig and chicken. It's different. So I prefer to talk to the old farmers in the region, and I learn more from them than just following the recipe of Mr. Steiner and saying that my wine is very cool because it's biodynamic. No, so really, this idea of living there, feeling the area, humbles you. This humble approach lets me to speak more with the old people, learn more from them. Not want to push too much, the envelope, like really trying to understand. And the more time I spend in the farm, the more I realize, the less I know. Because even in a single parcel, there are so many details, so many different differences that not even in one generation I would learn.
Absolutely. And so how does that, because I know that obviously you are, making the wines for your family under Raventós y Blanc, and that's, the primary thing that people know you for. If you could talk a little bit about, you have two other projects with the vineyards that you have there in your area of Massa Serral, and also the still wines of Pepe Raventós, of how those two projects came about, and really why you decided to make them separate from the umbrella of the main winery.
Absolutely. But first, let me just share this with you, because I am loving this glass, This is the 2016 de la Finca. And I just wanted to share with you that in Raventós, through the years, we kind of realized, because the ones that you have been there, our farm is a hill, no? So this hill defines different orientations and different slopes. So from the bottom vineyards, where microerosion has brought the clay onto, we make Blanc de Blancs and Denit. Blanc de Blancs and Denit are the wines of clay on top of limestone, the wines of balance. They are the Merceau of Conca and Oya. You know, Merceau stands for that, okay, somebody, you know, changed that idea, but the big idea is there's more the volume, no? De la Finca, however, is from the slope vineyards, and it's the Puligny of Conca. It's so thin and mineral and direct, and it's really our signature. I think what my grandfather already believed in with those plots. And this 2016 vintage, going back to what we were talking before, I call it the vintage of surprise, because normally we have a pattern of 2 vintages dry and 1 rainy, 2 dry and 1 rainy. But then we had 13 was rainy, but then 14 and 15 were dry. 16 was supposed to be rainy. What happened is was extremely dry. So the plant closed and make very little raisins, but they concentrate a lot of acid at the same time. So it's a super flavor vintage with a lot of acid. I really love 2016, De La Finca 2016. If you can get a hold of a bottle of a well-made sparkling from the area, I encourage you all to talk about. No? And just one quick message I would like to share before we jump into the natural wines is that all that confusion area and marketing, you know, of James Bond and all that stuff has led us to think weird ideas. When I look at a vine, for me, it's like an olive tree, or like an olive tree. It's like an almond tree, or like cereal. It naturally belongs to the Mediterranean climate, to the Californian climate. You know, this is where it naturally grows. The biggest challenge of a farmer is humidity. And this to 2020 that I want to bear with everybody to give you strength to, because it's going to, a vaccine will arrive soon and we will all be okay. But from a farming perspective, it's been extremely hard in our area. We had the biggest rainfall ever for the last 70 years. And we had so much humidity that the fungi attacked the plants. And because we work in the minimum intervention, we lost half of the crop. So I really want to give this message that a plant is like an olive tree. It belongs to the Mediterranean climate. It likes poor soils, little rainfall, hot summers, and that's when we make the best grapes with the minimal intervention. Give me a little sip before we talk the naturals.
Please, refresh.
This 16 is delicious. Yeah, thank you for asking me. Actually, it was when I was living in America that I spent a lot of time with Andy at Rootstock, that I'm sure you are familiar with, some friends in Brooklyn, downtown Manhattan, in California, and I started to get exposure to the Loire, natural or pure wines. Of course, all the Juras. I remember the Philippe Bonnard's. We drank a lot of Philippe Bonnard's wines with Andy Page in Root, so that was fantastic time. We could get a hold of Pierre Auvernois wines at that time. Now it's impossible, right? And this led me to really, when I start to drink these wines, I was like, wow, they are so delicious, and the energy is so good, and you know, it makes you want to drink more. Like the French people say, the vin de soif, no? And I traveled to Jura, and I developed, I would say, a fantastic friendship with Pierre, and now with Manu and Anne, no, that we are same age, etc. And John, this was really like, for me, the approach. You know, it's really like the future is the past. Super humble people, making wines like in the old times. And I say, like, you know, I am not the kind of guy that is looking or learning. I am not very smart, so I have to do things and make mistakes, so I learn from them. So in the garage of our new house, I say no cars outside. We are going to put a couple of amphoras here, one foudre, and we're going to learn from that. So we started to vinify Xarel·lo without intervention. And my goodness, Xarel·lo with its low pH, and you know, this acidity, beautiful acidity, this reduction that has, it delivered that amazing still and ancestral pet nuts. and it became a passion. So that's why the Pepe Raventós garage workshop line started, and we market. It's very limited, but if you are into this type of wines, I encourage you to get a hold of Viña del Noguer Xarel·lo, 16, 17, even 15 vintage. It is delicious. And this is how a little bit this line started. And Mas del Serral is a single vineyard in the middle of our property facing north that enables us to harvest Xarel·lo with extremely high acid, age it 10 years on the lease, and marketed it. And it's like a baby. So it's like between like that Poe is a word I love because we developed this with a friend in America. I've been talking about him during all the night. Positive oxido explosion of a Celos wine, but with the reductive character of Xarel·lo and that limestone facing north with a Prevost precision, you know. So it's Mas del Serral. It's like it's bringing Celos and Prevost, if I may talk about these friends and masters in the same bottle. And this is also aged in the garage at home, and that's why it's a separate line.
Very interesting. Pepe, for the natural wines, obviously, you know, shifting to still wines and from tasting Jura and Loire and natural wines from you know, around France. How did the varietals that you have that are indigenous there, Xarel·lo, you know, Garnacha, those, how did they kind of respond that may have been different or kind of move the project in a direction that may be unexpected to other varietals that you may be familiar with?
Yeah, well, two things. And don't get mad at me, but I sometimes in the interviews I say, we are over the varietal discussion, you know, like, come on, like if we're talking varietal, we're not in the right table. Eh? It's all about really going indigenous, going authentic, going towards what was there planted. And sadly, and I am very, a little strong with this because in my region, John, it was a disaster. Like Chardonnay planted all over, Cabernet Sauvignon planted all over, Pinot Noir all over. Like, because in Spain it's a beautiful country with an amazing landscape, with a lot of tradition and culture, but we don't believe in what we have. So everything from outside is better. Eh? And in Penedès, especially due to some mass producers, it's been a disaster. However, we keep working in really focusing the recuperation of these grapes. Xarel·lo
We have a...
Better?
Perfect, there we go.
Because I was telling you before we went live, I am a disaster with many things and with technology even more. So sorry about this. Eh? If
No
there's any problem, you interrupt me again. In Penedès, when sparkling was made in 1872, it was because Xarel·lo was harvested at a very, very low pH, extremely high acid. This is why Pepe Raventós starts to make the first 2,000 bottles of a sparkling with a Xarel·lo grape. And this is something that it's a very important message to share with you, that although we are in Mediterranean latitude, we are but sometimes Penedès, the combination of the limestone, the amount of the orography, the geologic formation, we talk about the ocean bed, that's why the minerality of the limestone appears in salinity and low tide conditions of wine. This is what enables us to make wines with very minimal intervention. You know,
sorry, we're having a little trouble hearing you again. Sorry about that.
Right, that's right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. And I'm going to.
Oh, I think we lost them there. That happened as we were setting up. Anytime you're in a restaurant and trying to do this at the same time, so we'll take a quick pause and a quick breath, and we'll wait for him to come back here in a second. So thanks everyone. So we'll talk about one of the wines, the textures here in a minute, and then we'll open it up to questions. So if you have any questions, certainly think about that, and feel free to put it in the chat thing there, and then I'll call on you as it comes. So any questions that you may have. think he's getting back there.
I am here. Sorry, can you hear me?
I can, and we can see you. Welcome
Okay.
back.
Okay, as I was telling you, I am a disaster with many things, especially with technology. But going back to your question, John, this idea of acidity is very important. It's a message that I really want to share with you. And this is what enabled in the 1800s that we started to make the cutting edge region in Spain for natural winemaking. Very brief comment on varietal. Not only Xarel·lo is fantastic, but Malvasia, for example, to have very, very high acid on ripening, and a red grape called Sumol. A red grape that in the future I think we will hear of, because a few solutions.
Sorry, Pepe, we're having again.
Okay,
I think it's just the connection a little bit, so in and out, but I can hear you. I can hear you well now.
Okay. If not, what I can try to do is to go outside without Wi-Fi and go over the internet. So if it happens again, I will go outside, okay?
Sounds good. We can hear you well.
Okay. So Sumol is a grape very similar, with not very, but with certain similitudes with Nebbiolo. Rustic, high acid, strong tannins, and people were really putting a lot of effort into Sumol. So I think you're going to hear about this grape in the future. The Garnacha that you said before, that was very popular in Penedès as well. After Sumol maybe is what was more planted. We are making Garnachas with extremely high level of freshness, you know. I don't know if you tasted the Garnachas that are making, for example, in Aragon, Fernando Mora in Valdejalón. The Garnachas that Comando G, Dani and Fer are making in Madrid. This new idea of freshness that you can find in Spain, I think, is very interesting.
Very good, very good. So if we can transition to, I know we are now just kind of doing a pre-release on the 15 vintage of the Textures de Pedra here. So if you could talk a little bit about this wine, you know, and it's in kind of a Blanc de Noir style, just generally, and then maybe a difference of, I have 2011 and 2015 that's about to come out of those two vintages. Would love to get your thoughts.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as I was trying to explain in the beginning, in Raventós we make two types of wines: the wines of clay on limestone. This is the Blanc de Blancs and the Denit, right? And then as we go up, we find the Vinca, one that I shared with you. It's a vineyard selection on the low. It's really, the plant is literally living on the limestone with a high express of salinity and minerality. But if you look at your bottle, John, what do you see in the label? What name appears on the label?
So it's Blanc de Negres from Textures de Pedra, Viña Més Alta.
Viña Més Alta, there you go. Viña Més Alta in Catalan means the highest vineyard. So on top of the hill, the Raventós hill, there is the Viña Més Alta. It's a 1.9 hectares of Xarel·lo, together with Xarel·lo Vermell, Sumol, and Bastar Negre. So two things describe Texturas. One is the highest vineyard with a more poor soils with little organic material. The plant is living literally on the limestone, and it's where we express this level of salinity, if you will, in a higher proportion. Second is that 70% of the grapes are red grapes vinified in white. So it's a recuperation of Catalan red grapes vinified in white. That's why it's the Blanc de Negres, Blanc de Noir. Some people say, oh, Pepe, but it has a little bit of Xarel·lo. And I say, yeah, or whatever, but the majority are red, so I call it Blanc de Noir. You know? Who tells me, because I cannot say Blanc de Negres if they are not 100%. So Blanc de Negres and very poor material, organic soil, pure limestone, salinity is what Texturas delivers. Difference of vintages, 11 was the first vintage. The one that you got is the first vintage we made of Texturas de Pedra from that plot. It's a very funny story.
Perfect.
It's a very funny story because I did the typical winemaker mistake that you taste a grape that you love and you bring it to your property. So I planted that vineyard with Pinot Noir. And after 3 vintages, I realized that Pinot Noir was not working to make the nits at home. Too much color and low acidity. So that's when the nit was born in 2006 with a little bit of monastery. To find the indigenous red grape that ripens at the same level of pH. That's what fixes the color with Xarel·lo, etc. And then we regrafted that vineyard with a Súmol de Bastar Negre, Xarel·lo Vermell, and then 5 years later, the grapes had enough quality, so we could start to vinify what's become the Texturas de Pedra.
Excellent, very good. Yeah, from what I noticed, it's 2011, still a lot of freshness there, that really nice roundness, and everything that I've always tasted in your wines, the minerality, the acidity is still there, that this wine can continue on for a long time. So really beautiful, and excited to see the 15 when it comes stateside as well. Friends, at this point, if you have any questions, feel free either to type them in, or to you can do the hand raise feature, whichever makes the most sense for you. Take yourself off mute, and welcome to anyone that has a question for Pepe. Certainly at this time would be great.
Let me, while people think about the questions, add something to the tasting of the Texturas de Pedra.
Yes, please.
Texturas de Pedra in Catalan means the textures of the stone. And this wine, probably you agree with me, John, that it has a lot of salinity. It's bitter, it's extremely dry. And, what I say to the people is, if you like fruity, I tell a journalist, they got a little mad at me, if you like fruity, drink champagne. But if you like minerality, try Texturas de Pedra.
Excellent, good to know. Courtney, I'll pass it on to you for your question for Pepe.
Hola, Pepe. ¿Qué tal? It's Courtney.
Hola.
I have your hat on. You like my hat?
Me encanta. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm calling in from Lower Manhattan right now. I'm at a restaurant called Tomino, because Tomino is the only place open, a Spanish restaurant with Raventós y Blanc de la Finca, but 2015. And you don't have your wine at Terry's anymore.
I know. I have to talk to Joel Schott. This is a good tip for me. Thank you very much. And please give a big hug to everybody at Tomino. They do an amazing job. Make sure you try the pulpo a feira.
Okay, I'm here spending the day. Just I was so excited to chat with you, and again, I was like walking all around Manhattan looking for your wine, because some things are open, some aren't. But I was so sad that Terry's didn't have your wine anymore. So I'm kind of on a journey.
How is the situation in Manhattan?
We work so hard to get everything, open, and we work so everyone has a mask. Usually I have my mask on, but you don't have to. If you're having a glass of wine, you can take it off, so you can drink a glass of wine. But it's pretty good. Diehard New Yorkers are bouncing back. Everyone's listening to our governor, Cuomo, and paying attention and doing everything we can to put the rates down. But my friend Shabi that lives in San Sebastian, he said that the rates are going back up in Spain. So how is the situation there?
Yeah, some places are going back with cases, but I think it's more of a warning, like to really not go too crazy, but nothing serious. We're not going to go to alarm state anymore.
Yeah, we're trying our best and trying to keep our city moving. But I know that other people want to talk to you, but I'm so glad to see you, and I've been meaning to email you, so I'm really, really happy. For anybody that doesn't know, I got to visit Pepe last summer. It was one of the best experience I've ever had. So of course, I'm always telling people to buy your wine, and I'm always looking in the city who has it stocked. So
and we can tell to everybody, that is with us tonight is if you happen to go to Barcelona, please contact us. Don't miss to visit the Raventós estate. As long as you're a wine passionate person, I think we're gonna have a good time together.
Okay, good. So as soon as Spain opens, I'm coming back to San Sardone d'Anoia.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you very much.
Okay, good to see you. Happy you're okay.
I know we're all trying to get back across the ocean soon. Jess, I know that you also have been to the estate and have and seen Pepe. I would love to hear your experience at the winery as well.
Oh yeah. Hi, Pepe.
Hola.
We sell a lot of Raventós in Pops for Champagne. We always have it by the glass. It's really something wonderful. I love to share my experience with my guests and my friends. But I actually planned my whole honeymoon around Feria because I also love sherry as well. So we started in Barcelona and we went to Raventós and we were with Lionel. Do you know Lionel? Yeah, he was the best host and he was showing all the wines and I expressed interest that I preferred your wines. And he went and got me some of your wines to try and I fell in love with it. So it was such a beautiful, beautiful tour. He recommended some great restaurants in Barcelona that had your wines, specifically the Pepe Raventós wines. And you know, it's just it's such a pleasure to see you in person. And I've got a stock of Raventós wines in the house. This is our house wine here that we have just for any time of the day, in the morning or night. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to find some of the wines that you were talking about. I will speak with John, and I'm sure he's going to be able to help me find them. So I would. I was very impressed when they took us out into the vineyards and he was explaining how they took out all of the electrical wires above the vineyard because it was interfering with, you know, with your farming. And also was so interesting was he was showing me, maybe you can talk about this more because I didn't really understand it, but he was showing us an area that they were trying to dig for like a customer like center, and they found all the shells in the ground was like from when it was covered with water.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm speaking of?
Yeah, this is a great question. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Basically, what happened is that our valley was covered by the ocean for
Right.
about 3 million years in the mid-Miocene, 50 million years ago. And then the ocean went back to the actual shore. So the valley was filled with eroded materials from the mountains around. Then the River Anoia carved and kind of bring all these materials back to the ocean. It's like the Grand Canyon image, but at a smaller level, no? So all the mother rock of the area is limestone with plenty of fossils. And once we had this vineyard that was very old with a lot of diseases, and we had to take it over. We planted some cereal. With the cereal, we feed the horses, we rest the field, etc. 5 years later, we decide that it's time for planting. So we know that in this little corner, the mother rock is very shallow on surface. So we say, okay, we're gonna break it. So we're gonna have homogeneous plants in all that parcel. And then the guy that's in the machine breaking the mother rocks is like, Pepe, look what I found. So we find all this great quantity of fossils in the limestone. So I say to my father, Manuel, Father, give me these meters. I'm going to fence it, and we're going to make a fossil museum. So sorry, we're not going to plant all the parcel, but with this little fossil museum, we can show to our visits, how the limestone is formed, and with an image, sometimes it's much more powerful than all these words. You see those rocks with all the shells and the snails, and even like some authentic fossils from 50 million years ago, that the nacre, the white nacre, and it's so this is what it is. This is what he saw.
Yeah, it was the most incredible thing. Obviously, it's 3 million years old, so most people were never going to see something like this. And Lionel did invite me to come work the harvest, so I'm still going to be there. I just don't know when, when it's safe to come, but I'm going to be out there with my colleague, and we're going to work for you. So thank you very much.
Please do it. Please do it.
100%. Thank you.
Say hello to Chicago and to Craig, please.
Okay.
Wonderful. We have a question from Marcus in Sweden. I'm trying to unmute you here, where you can do so yourself. But Marcus, great to have you with us, and I know you have a question for Pepe as well. Maybe we'll get you here. Well, So Pepe, I know that Marcus's question, he has some 2013 textures in Sweden, is the vintage they have there. If you could talk maybe a little bit about how the 13 vintage and maybe compared to the upcoming 15 that's coming out as well.
So as I was saying before, 13 was one of the cold ones. So I would say, Marcus, age that vintage and maybe open it 3 years from now. With 10 years age, it will be fantastic. While the 15, maybe a vintage that is more on the generous side. So I would encourage to drink it a little on the earlier side.
Excellent, wonderful. Well, Pepe, it looks like dinner is starting there for you. So certainly don't want to take up any more of your time. And I know that over here in the US, we're all certainly hoping that we can connect with you one time in the future, whether it be on this side, because I know you come to the US a lot, or we get to visit you in Spain. So everyone, I put it in your chat if you want to learn more about Raventós y Blanc and the mailing list that they have in the US. Certainly you can follow that link. It's just VinConnect.com to be able to do that. To be able to access some of these wines that, whether it be back vintages or kind of exclusive pre-releases. So Pepe, definitely great to see you and everybody that joined us today from the US and Sweden and everywhere else. And hopefully enjoy some Raventós here in the future. And we'll cheers to you, Pepe. Enjoy your dinner. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and have a great day. Stay safe. And hopefully with the grapes that you have coming in, a happy harvest to you as well, Pepe.
Thank you very much for your time today. Apologies for the technology that I didn't organize well enough, but I hope it was interesting for everybody. And as we were saying before, please come visit whenever your travels take you to Barcelona. And if you like our wines and if you like this idea of going back to nature, I think that we do okay wines, but we do amazing tours. Keep up the good work. You from VinConnect, John and Kevin, that I don't see, but probably will hear this at some point. And thank you for inviting very much. This is something I wanted to show you. It's a tartare made from grass-fed beef from local from the Pyrenees. So let's leave that chat, encouraging everybody to come to the mountain range in northern Catalonia, DAS, D-A-S, to 1219, 1219. So you believe me, you will be not disappointed. This valley is phenomenal. It's surrounded by mountains, but it's very wide. If you like golfing, there is golfing. If you like hiking, skiing in the winter time. It's not as cool as Aspen, but it's phenomenal.
I'm sure we're all
I'll see you there.
So thank you, Pepe. Have a great evening. Be safe. Thank you, everybody else. And we'll chat soon and hopefully drink together soon, everyone. Cheers.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Pepe. Love you, brother.
Bye-bye. Love
Love
you.
you.
Pepe.
Fermín,
Hasta pronto.
hasta pronto, amigo.
Que vaya bien. Fuerte abrazo.
Ciao.